Hello and welcome to another colony submission video. This is number 10 in our series, taking a look at your colonies that you've submitted for consideration here. Today's is provided by a viewer named JBRam 2002, and it is the Iron Teeth on the Craters map. And right off the bat, you're going to notice a whole lot of stuff. We're going to go through it one by one, but it's cycle 145, and the beaver happiness is at 81. So essentially, this is a solved problem, a completed map. Beavers are absolutely loving life, with the help of 183 bots doing most of the jobs. But just to go quickly through some of the mods that have been used in this, there's a lot. I'm going to put the list on the screen. You have a mini-map in the corner, which is cool. I've never used that in the game before, but I find it really helpful to have that perspective. And it even shows, if you take a look here, it shows the clean water versus bad water based on the map's orientation, which is not the direction we're facing, but that's fine. We have this FOV figure here that shows you roughly which direction the camera's facing. It does rotate as you move around, and as you zoom in it gets smaller, zoom out it gets bigger. I have turned off the fog and the camera limitations so we can have a little bit of a better look at the map. But yeah, lots and lots of mods on this one. I'm also going to put up the colony blip that they submitted with this file, so you can take a look at that if you want. Just hit pause. But the big takeaways here is that this is a very hard map if you've ever played it, and especially if you watched our playthrough, I believe last summer with Update 6 and the Iron Teeth. It took us a long time to filter all this bad water out. So I'm going to hide the water here, and you can immediately see that there's some nice diversion structures underwater, kind of similar to what we did. But if you've played the map and you didn't watch our playthrough last year, then you definitely know just how hard it is to get all of these ponds clean. This one still has some residual bad water in it, but that's going to happen. It's just, it's a big task to get all this stuff taken care of. And it's, if you read the submission notes, then it's about as good as it's going to get. So every single one of these 7 ponds either has a bad water source when you start the game, or has the ability to be filled by a bad water source or a clean source that has been polluted during a bad tide. And to have 6 out of the 7 completely clean, and the 7th, I guess we could say tolerably clean-ish, that's a big achievement. You take a look at how these things flow in and out of each other, and I think you're going to be pretty impressed. But you might have also noticed, turn this back on for a second, it's currently raining, which is part of one of the mods that has been installed here. And I actually have this mod installed too, I just haven't enabled it. And that is the reason a couple of you eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that in my playthroughs, the weather ticker goes right to left instead of left to right when it's counting down how much time is in a drought or a bad tide, so on and so forth. But what the rain season does, which is what season this is currently in, is it just makes all of the tiles on the map irrigated, regardless of whether they have a natural aquifer or whatever doing that, and that makes it, I guess, advantageous for growing some crops in some situations. I haven't looked at the mod too much, but it's cool to see it in use here, especially on such a long playthrough. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of these again. You'll notice we have these structures down here at the bottom, which again, if you watched our playthrough, you already know what this is. But for those of you who did not, or who just want to see this one specifically, each one of these water sources, which you can see here on the layer below, are kind of separated, set apart, and that makes it a big challenge to try to divert stuff. So the easiest way to do this, since Update 6, has been to kind of create these little pressure chambers. And each of these sources has a sluice right next to it, or in whatever convenient assembly that you can think of. And the bad water goes through this lower level of sluices into this kind of holding pond here. You go up one more layer, there's another sluice that only opens when it is not contaminated below 5%. So the clean water comes up here, which of course opens up to the main area. The bad water stays down here, and then goes up here to this chamber, and then goes up here to this chamber, and then this just keeps going up and up and up and up. And then you'll note that this currently is not flowing through because it's not a bad tide, but if it were flowing through, it would just come harmlessly down this side here and right off the map, and just a few trees and a few tiles here would be harmed. But right now that's not an issue because it is not a bad tide. And the other areas here do the same thing, but this one's cool because, well, they're all cool, but you take a look here. These are bad water discharges, so these are just straight up bad water sources. This entire thing is always completely full of poison when you start a new playthrough on the Craters map. So this has been very carefully managed over 145 cycles, and these of course have been forced open by the bad water discharges, and that is being used to power a whole bunch of stuff here. We have bad water flowing through this way, and then around here, and then out this way to join bad water flowing from here as well, off the side of the map. And since it's nighttime, I'll put this in triple speed so it goes a little bit quicker. But I like how this is laid out. Like it's very smart to just channelize everything that's going to be always on through the same bit, so you can just harness it for power. There's lots and lots and lots of power that is being stored in these flywheels, which is one of my favorite mods personally. And we have advanced power something mod, I forget what it's called, but it gives you a lot of statistics on batteries charging or discharging, demand, supply, and some of these buildings can be set to be suspended if there's not enough power to run them, which this one currently is in. Again, lots and lots and lots of mod work done to make this playthrough a little bit more, I guess, smooth running. I always love to see that. But take a look under here. We'll see kind of the same stuff going on, but this is a little bit more involved, which you might not have noticed because it's kind of spread out here. Same kind of principle as before. All the bad water comes through here, and then it just goes up and out, and the clean water comes up one more level into the main area harmlessly, which, again, this is a very, very, very large crater. It's going to take a super long time to get it completely clean. And honestly, it might not ever be 100% clean, but this one is going to be close enough. We can take a look here. And it does say contamination's at 20%, but 20% contamination looks a whole lot worse than it actually is. This is effectively clean enough to have beavers go in there quickly and not really have to worry about anything. But you can see here in the middle, if you've played this map before, you'll know there were some ruins here, and this was isolated so those could be brought out. There's even a little tiny bit left. And I believe there's another spot on the map where this was done as well, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know. I did take a look at this earlier and then had to come back and look at some other stuff. But other stuff to take a look at here. Again, Diversion, I just think the stuff's really cool. But you notice we have a whole bunch of tubeways. I love that sound so much. But these things are running all over the map, over the little boundaries here, and then around inside. And it's really, really smart how this is laid out. If we peel back some layers a little bit, we have some that are underground. We have underground pathways completely hidden under terrain. And then, again, just keep going down. You'll see these things pop in and out at various levels. Just really, really good work. Even all the way down here in layer 3. Coming over to this area. Just really, really smart stuff. But again, more diversion down here. Same kind of principle being used. Very, very clean. Looking good. And then right here, this is bad water coming up. Right here. Being channelized into this little diversion thing, which we'll take a look at. But I loved this. You have a swimming pool and you have exercise facilities right on top of the sewage, but it's all safely kept in place with the help of the overhangs and the impermeable floors. I just thought that was really funny. Basically putting a swimming pool in a sewage treatment plant, and they're never going to know. But you can see we have this being fleshed out here, completely separated, going into the overflow here, just right off the edge of the map. Very, very clean. And okay, this is the area right here that had the actual mine constructed. Again, if you've played this map, you know. If you didn't play this map, this is a huge pain to get this dried out and built. And that took us a long time in our playthrough, so I can only imagine it was a similar type of Herculean endeavor in this scenario here. But again, just really, really smart. We've got plenty of bots going all over the place. We've got control towers in places that matter. And again, 81 well-being, which, for those of you keeping track at home, is basically a perfect score. Not all of it is 100% on every single piece of well-being metric here, but yeah, the work was put in, the work was done. These beavers are extremely happy. I don't think that is up for debate. But also, just the way this is laid out, I really appreciate, because even though there's a little bit of chaos with all these pipes and tubes and stuff running everywhere, it still feels intelligently designed, and we have all this storage right here in the center. Of course, one of the most beautiful monuments in any mod or base game component in Timberborn. I absolutely love this. And then everything is just looking really, really smooth. And the industrial stuff is pretty organized too. Everything just nicely laid out. We already talked about all of the power here coming through and coming alongside all of this, and things just organized really, really nicely. But to go back to the submission notes just real quick before we go ahead and get on out of here, I'd be very interested to see what this map plays like with this mod set installed in the monsoon season, and that was mentioned in the submission notes. So what I might do is I might go ahead and go into dev mode in advanced seasons until I get one, because I want to see what this is like. Monsoon season does some interesting stuff. If you take a look at the moddable weather page, it'll give you a little bit of an overview of what stuff does. But let's see if we can trigger that, because I want to see what happens with this. Okay, so what I did is I went and I fiddled with settings until I could get this map to show a monsoon season, which is something that was mentioned in the notes in the submission, and I'm just really curious to what happens in a monsoon season. There you go. Take a look at all this extra water coming in. You'll note that we have mangrove trees that have died, unfortunately, but they can be replanted because of how much more water is getting put in here. I didn't showcase this in the first part of the review, and I really wish I had, because this is a smart design with the mangrove trees here, basically creating farmable space in the middle of a reservoir without reducing the size of the reservoir very much. But it looks like, yeah, a whole lot of this is actually flooding smartly into the discharge channels in the monsoon season. I love to see this. This is actually really fascinating. I'd never taken a look at this part of this mod before. But, of course, you have stuff like the swimming pools that will become very quickly unusable during a monsoon season when this gets significantly high enough. But in this part of the map, this monsoon season swimming pool becomes available while these become unavailable, and the rest of everything is, you know, still not affected. I just think that's really cool. It's such a smart bit of map design and rolling with the punches, so on and so forth. Really, really, really love to see this. I apologies for cutting and coming back in on that, but I wanted to make sure that this is what I thought it was going to be when I heard of monsoon season. So I know the rain effect seems to be gone, which is kind of funny. That was incredibly loud. But yeah, I love this so much. This is a really smart, really challenging, really authentic playthrough here on the Creators map, which again, very, very hard map, and mentioned in the submission notes that this user wanted to retain the authentic difficulty of the map, and that's why they didn't play on Ember Pelts, which they said was their favorite faction, and they tried to keep the beaver count low. And it's only 108 beavers, and there's 183 bots. I remember on our playthrough in Update 6, we had a lot more than that, and we were able to do stuff a lot faster as a result. But it just goes to show the amount of effort that's gone into this is truly impressive. Here we are at the next dawn here in our monsoon season with the incredibly loud Iron Teeth bell noise. And that's where I'm going to leave this one. I'm really impressed with this. Play a playthrough on Creators on hard mode if you haven't. It's a big challenge, and it kind of makes you think outside of the box with how to treat things and fix problems on the map and keep your beavers alive and uncontaminated. It's a much bigger challenge than you'd originally think. So huge kudos, huge respect here to JBRam 2002 for sending this in. Really appreciate it, as always. Beard Boosters, you already know, but you are the people who make it possible for us to have videos like this where we aren't beholden to the algorithm. We can just have a little bit of fun taking a look at people's submissions and seeing how other people play the game and approach problems in different ways. That's a really good way to learn, not only in Timberborn, but just in life in general. Surround yourself with people who have interesting, unique ideas and viewpoints, and you might learn something. It's always good to have outside perspectives on stuff, and I want to keep doing these videos, so I really appreciate those folks who make it possible and kind of subsidize the quote-unquote business part of YouTube for whatever that's worth. Just enabling things to be fun without having to have sponsors and all sorts of other nonsense. You are the sponsor. You're the audience. You're the reason why we're all here doing this, and I'm very thankful that we get to continue having a good time playing the Beaver game on our own playthroughs and taking a look at other people's as well. So again, thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one tomorrow, and we'll see you back in our playthroughs the day after that. Take care, friends. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.